We are live, the making of a marketer. It is a big, big day, but for many reasons today, Jess. So I'm just going to take you through the list because my mind this morning is raging with marketing. So let me tell you what's going on. So, in the world of TikTok, you know that I'm a music fan, electronic dance music. I like my chain smokers. Dropped a new track that they've been hinting at for like 3 months at live shows. Number one. Number two, Justin Bieber's new album randomly dropped today out of nowhere. And it had been kind of rumored forever, but it was kind of one of those things on hiatus. So that drops out of nowhere forever. Everyone's interested in his story, like what's going on with Justin, that type of thing. Dexter Resurrection, one of my favorite shows of all time, resurrected today, so I'm going to be hopping on Showtime. Instagram's now indexing on Google. Instagram post will now index on Google. Okay, like what does that mean for us and like what is all going on there? And then there's also a new Superman movie, Jess. So my brain's all over the place for marketing right now. Plus it's our 100th episode. So we got lots going on.
Yes, I had no idea about any of these things, and it is a good day to be alive as a marketer.
That's actually something I'm thinking of incorporating a little more into my newsletters that I do is music marketing. I actually used to teach this to the marketing rooms that I had, small groups, but I would say let's analyze like what's this music artist doing and why is it working and how does that function on social. I haven't done that in a while, so I got my brain rolling a little bit this morning.
I think that's great. Anything to again get into the user, the consumer's mind, or just to get a better understanding of them, I think is excellent. And music, it definitely there's emotional connection with that, and the history, combining the history with the emotions. I think it's a good thing.
But with that, we are at number 100 today, Jess. So if you follow us on socials, we've been talking about that a little bit. Remember early on that we were told that you haven't really started in podcasting or haven't really gotten over the hump until you hit 100 episodes. So do you feel over the hump right now? Do you feel like we're like marketing or podcasting veterans at this point?
I think I'm supposed to say yes. Hell yeah. No, I can't believe it. I think it's amazing, especially when our previous guest, Casey, who's in podcasting, basically told us that most people last to 7 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And when they're not seeing the results, it deters them and they stop.
Yep.
So
And we've
we
seen that.
yes.
We've seen that go from like early days. If you exclude the video stream on LinkedIn Live, which has always been a popular outlet for us, which is normal, traditional Spotify, Apple podcast channels, we were starting out at like 5, 7 listeners, and then it started becoming more like 10 listeners, and it started becoming more like 25 listeners. So we've actually seen that incremental go up to where we now have it, in the solid hundreds. So it's nice to see how that starts to change over the course of time. But we do have a very special guest today for our 100th episode, and she's back again with a book now. Author Melissa Fors Shackelford. She was on the program several months ago to talk about healthcare marketing, bringing that oomph, bringing that purpose to the table. And Melissa, we're super excited now to have you and talk maybe a little bit about some of the same concepts we had you before, but now let's take it to your book, the inspiration behind this, and learn a lot about what brings some of these ideas together in your healthcare marketing world. So super happy to have you. Happy 100th. Thank you for being here, Melissa.
Yeah, congratulations on your 100. I feel honored to be on this episode. I've been fans of yours for a long time. I feel like I know you better than I probably really do because I hear about things from your episodes and just your life journey. But also, 100 does say a lot. It says that, number one, the people need this content. And number two, that you're bringing it to them and you have a point of view and a perspective that people need to hear. So I think this is great. I'm super excited to be here, and just really congratulations on your 100th episode.
Well, thank you. It's definitely been a journey, and we're constantly learning, and that's what we want this episode to be about for us, for the listeners, for all of us to learn. For those of us watching on the stream right now, we'll have our book here in the screen. It is titled Harnessing Purpose, A Marketer's Guide to Inspiring Connection. But before we get into that, Melissa, let's first talk about our season theme, and that's selling ideas. So you know the drill. We have our question that we ask everyone here in the beginning. So take us through your process. Maybe this even relates to the book, selling an idea to write a book. When you are trying to sell something through that's unorthodox, different, difficult, what's your method to the madness?
So I'm going to go way back when I think about selling ideas. And for me, it goes back to very, very early in my career. I worked in Tokyo. My first job out of college, I worked in Tokyo. And so I feel like it was just really, your first job for anyone is really formative, and it teaches you a lot of things. And one of the things that I learned there was sort of this concept of saving face. So you always try to do things privately and almost do your selling and your conversations before the meeting, because you want to allow them to save face. You never want to surprise someone or throw it at them at the meeting or with other people around. And so for me, when I think about selling, for me, a lot of the selling is done before the meeting. It's done in private. It's done in those pre-conversations beforehand, so that the time that you actually get to the meeting to do the sales call, if you will, all of that concept is already embedded and understood, and you've gotten them aligned with whatever you're trying to do. Think about just in an executive setting, if you're bringing up some new controversial, new out-of-the-box idea, rather than just bringing it up in that setting. I like to have all my yeses before that meeting. So I've gone through and I've privately sold all these people, and I know what's going to happen. So it doesn't feel controversial. It doesn't feel out of the box. It's already having alignment. And beyond that, I feel like for me, I think it's a smart way to do the business, because then it almost becomes their ideas. And that's such a great way to get to yes, is when it starts to become their ideas. So that's really, when I thought about that theme, that's what I right away thought too. I thought about how I like to make sure people save face in a public setting and come to the meeting with everybody on a yes, or knowing who's the no and who the yeses are.
See, I absolutely love this, Melissa, because I feel like this saving face idea came throughout your book.
Oh,
And finding, again, it's going back to finding purpose and aligning as a team, but so finding that corporate purpose, and then also the personal purpose, and like saving face this way and having those conversations beforehand and bringing people in and aligning on the purpose together. I think that leads to a yes. That's absolutely excellent.
So Melissa, before we get started diving deep into the book, for our listeners that are seeing you for the first time, tell us a little bit about your history, your journey as a healthcare marketer to becoming an author and inspiring all those around us.
Oh, that's great. I tell you, I'm so happy. I'm so excited to be here for the second time. It was nice to get to know you guys the first time. So for people who don't know me, I am a longtime healthcare marketing leader. I've sort of done it all, soup to nuts, in healthcare. I've worked at some big Fortune 20s, so Optum in the payer space, Express Scripts PBM, which is under Cigna, in the pharmacy and again the payer space. I, for a long time, led marketing in the behavioral health space and substance use disorder space. But I also spent a lot of time in health tech and with startups. And in the last about year, a little bit longer, I've been working more independently as a consultant, advising startups and helping more emerging companies take kind of all of my years of experience, bringing it to them. And for me, it's super exciting. I'm thrilled about the book. That was a real journey for me. And for me, the book has kind of been a springboard to more public speaking, because that's another thing that I've been trying to focus more and double down on. So that's kind of me. I really enjoy working with mission-driven organizations. And I tell you, the more that I am open and talk about being purpose driven, focusing on the mission, focusing on your values, and aligning your values with what you do in your professional life, those are the people that come into my life. I have so many people who come into my life who talk about being mission driven, and it's just, for me, it's just like the universe. You put things into the universe and good things come back to you.
I will just say, it is so special that you are here with us, Melissa. We are so happy to celebrate 100 with you. For our book club, you are our official first marketing book that we are highlighting, and anyway, I'm gonna keep gushing on the book because you really inspired us when you first came on to our show, which was actually, Andy, it was a few years ago. So let's.
I know, I
Yeah.
said a few months. I
Yes.
was undershooting myself a little bit.
I was going to say, I didn't think it was a few months, but I wasn't quite sure when it was. But I
all-
feel
it
like
all
we've been
starts to
friends
run
forever.
together.
I feel
Yes.
like we're friends forever now.
The time goes by so quickly, and when you came out, like, you really inspired us to think about how marketing can actually impact so many people, and it doesn't matter what discipline. So you think about, like, oh, we're really mission driven or purpose driven organizations are usually like are in healthcare or nonprofit, and actually it's like you can be purpose driven as a B2B organization. You can create these experiences that connect with your customers' values, and you can make people feel something even in B2B. So like that was like such an aha moment for us, and we've been with all of our episodes, like we always ground back to like things that you said on that first episode around, again, just putting the person, the customer first, and really trying to like create something for them that has meaning for them.
Oh, yeah, that's so great. I'm so happy about that. And I tell you, and I think this, we might talk about this later, but I can just bring it up right now. I had been thinking about doing a book for a long time, and I'd kind of swirled around what kind of topic. And it was on this podcast, and I should have written down the page. It's somewhere in the book, because Andy, you were the one who said, you felt like more and more young marketers are getting out of the profession because they feel like they've sort of sold their soul. Because there's a lot about marketing that's gotten really, we can, with marketing and modern technology, we can manipulate a lot of people to think a lot of things. But we had a great conversation talking about how there's still opportunity as a marketer to really find your purpose, to connect with, your peers, your partners, your stakeholders, and your customers. And Andy, after that, I was inspired to write an article. And then after the article, I thought, why don't I turn this into the topic that I've been looking for? So really, I credit you all the time for that. Was such a wonderful and sort of just insightful conversation for me. And I just felt like I wanted to bring that topic to more people.
Definitely. We are honored, and we saw the page where the mention's at, and it's definitely a topic that I feel like is a consistent conversation within the podcast, within marketing spheres. I don't work with young marketers all the time, but I do a handful of times,
Yeah.
whether it be direct consulting, I teach a class where I work with some young marketers, or sometimes I just simply get a ping. And I have seen that consistently, straining to find a purpose for what they're doing. And like, Eddie, how do I get there? And then sometimes I kind of like draw this blank, and I'm kind of like, I think we're all trying to figure out not only how to get there to find our purpose, but how to keep it, through all of the changes. And that's a big theme that I saw within the book, is we kind of segue into that now. You kind of talk about what inspired it, selling, trying not to sell our soul in this world of marketing. But was there any moment that was beyond that, an aha? It's like, I have to do this in your day to day to get this out there and to get these words on paper.
So I think for me, a lot of that came from kind of our conversation, but also it's about the way that I've worked for so long. I think just in my personal life, I am a very mission driven person and very focused on kind of service to others. And that's what I've always tried to bring into my work life. I think yes, I've worked in healthcare for like 18 years, but I've been working for a lot longer than that. And I started my career kind of some big global conglomerates. I mean, I worked at 3M and Honeywell. You don't get any more big global conglomerate than that from my first couple of jobs. And I learned a lot from people. I think you can still find a lot of meaning in your work, even if you're selling thermostats, just by the fact that you can search out kind of what is it beyond revenue that you're doing. So I think for me, it was a lot about how can I take how I feel really positive and inspired by my job and how I've selected the places I want to work and the people I want to work with, because I want to surround myself with amazing people who are also mission driven, and I want to work for organizations that I align with their values. And even if it's not an organization like in healthcare that is, helping people live healthier lives, I still can find meaning in what my company does and align with the values. And if, frankly, and I talk about it in the book, sometimes your values don't align with the company's values, and that's okay. And not everybody has the opportunity to sort of walk out the door, but I've done that before when the values just aren't aligned. So all of that kind of came together with the book, but I will credit you guys all the time. That was such a great sort of inspiring conversation for me. And that's what you do on your podcast. And that's why you're at number 100, because you ask thoughtful questions, and you don't just ask questions for questions' sakes. You guys really kind of help people to digest the different topics.
I love that. And speaking of this, I mean, this book could be for anyone, especially anyone in an organization, because we all need to do a better job at finding purpose within the organization and purpose in life. But I thought, just reading through this, like as someone that majored in marketing and has been in it in college, like what an excellent resource for marketing students or people coming into the industry, because I felt like it's a great way to kind of just like give you more exposure and just give you a better understanding of what to expect. I mean, I went into the industry very naive, and I wish I had this book. I feel like as I've grown and I've gotten more experience, I have a better understanding, but I definitely wish I had this book in college. So when I was going into the market, I had a better understanding of what to expect and like how to start to, again, find my purpose early on.
Yeah, and I think the beginning of the book, the first couple of chapters were really me kind of speaking to that kind of an audience. So how to think about yourself, how to find what are your values, what's important to you, what gives you meaning, what fills your cup really, and also what to look for in organizations. And it's not just an organization and what they do or what they sell. Like you said, B2B marketers can find a lot of meaning and inspiration in what you do. You're selling software, you're selling manufacturing product. That doesn't matter. But I think especially young people also need to think about the organization's values organizations that they're joining, and the team and their boss. And I've heard it said over and over, and I didn't know this when I was younger, but that your first couple of bosses matter almost more than anything, because those are the people who are really going to guide you and teach you, mentor you, and help you get to the next, whatever your next step is. So really being cautious about where you fit, making sure that your values align with theirs, that your priorities align with theirs, and that you're doing something that really gives you purpose and meaning so that you're excited to go to work every day. I look at you guys with the podcast, and I feel like you're both still, after 100 episodes, really energized and excited about this. And that's what people need to find. What gets them jazzed like that?
That's something. So when I viewed the book, I try to view it through multiple lenses. So you hit on one lens, Melissa, and this is early Andy era here, and I think that is exactly true. The first conversations are like really kind of like real big conversations I had with my first 3 to 4 bosses of my career. I can remember some of them word for word, and a lot of the stories I tell in my newsletters and things that I talk about are from those bosses that kind of were saying, Andy, either we challenge you on this, you're good at that. You need to keep moving forward in this type of world. That kind of started to develop my purpose because I think a lot of young marketers have that somewhere, but it's trial and error. It's just like marketing, it's just like paid digital. You have to get a lot of reps in. And I remember that when I started managing small teams and I was managing younger employees, I would let them make certain mistakes because I said to my boss that they have to get the reps in. 'Cause if we don't let them get the reps in, you shoot the confidence down, it's shot from that point. And we are very impactful on when they develop their purpose. So now I look at this from another angle. I'm looking at your book as To Me Now, and that's consulting marketing rooms. I see up to CMOs, I see entry level marketers.
Yep.
And there's some that come in with so much juice, so much energy, so much eagerness to learn. There's others I can see burnout in 10 seconds. And that's not me being mean because I've been burnt out too. So I feel like I have a read on it when someone's at that point. This type of literature, in my opinion, can start to bring people out of that a little bit, get them to think a little different. And what I like the most is that you are putting purpose back onto the marketer, that we don't need to be dependent fully on a manager, on a company. It's still within us to find that compass, and it's, our decision and our abilities to keep working towards that. So that's how I started to kind of like view this, and it got me to thinking about things I want to do and what my genuine North Star purpose is and how that, kind of gets through all of this. So that's how I analyzed it, but curious if there is maybe a compass in your head as you were writing this to where you're saying this is why this type of book is needed.
So first of all, just let me say, I love the fact that you were thinking about young marketers to build their confidence. And I think so often people aren't thinking about those sort of things that, okay, somebody works for me. I just want to get this work done. And instead, you're saying you were reflecting and saying building their confidence and getting their reps in is important because I think about myself and sometimes I think, where did I get confident in my professional life? Well, it was sometimes through, like you said, sometimes it's through the mistakes and having somebody there who didn't do it all for me, but also helped to teach me along the way. So first of all, I love that you're thinking about, how do I help build their confidence? But I think for me, and when I think about whether it's my North Star or helping other people find theirs, it's that reflection on what's your why. It can be, for me, like I said at the beginning, I really love being of service to others. That's really important to me. And I love helping to grow people's skills and, like you said, grow confidence. But also from an organizational perspective, what's our why? What's our team's why? What's our company's why? But if us as individuals, we don't kind of know what really gets us going, then it's I think sometimes you're just going through like a robot and you don't have a lot of meaning. And those are the people who say, uh-oh, it's Monday, I have to go back to work, versus the people who are all excited to go on Monday, get back to work. So I think it's the people who really take some time to reflect on, say, what's really my North Star? What's my why? What gets me excited? And set them up for that kind of having passion in their day-to-day life. I mean, just because you're looking at metrics and doing, data dashboards or something, that fills a lot of people's cups.
So we're talking a lot from an individual level to align on purpose. But now you talk a lot too about teamwork. And I absolutely love that because that is something like I want to see more marketing awards or advertising awards where it's the whole team. It's like we talk so much about team, yet the awards are still just focused on the individual. And so that's something I want to see change. So love that you talk about the importance of team and really coming together and how that helps to align on purpose professionally and personally. We recommend that everyone read the entire book because there's so much goodness there. But if there was one thing that you could tell a team tomorrow to do or today, like is there a small step that you recommend that they take to start going on this journey to really align and come together and find that purpose?
So I think I've worked with some really really amazing teams, and I think the best teams are the ones who take some time to reflect and, like you said, it's and reflect on the fact that marketing is a team sport in particular. Maybe I think more than a lot of other areas, marketing really is a team sport. And even if you're like an individual who works, you do kind of do everything in marketing, you still have to rely on others. It's never just someone working by themselves. And I think back to one particular team that I worked on or worked with, and we had a really powerful discussion once about awards and recognition. And part of it was that whether it was me as the leader or some of the more visible members of the marketing team were the ones getting the accolades, and some of the other folks, the project managers, designers, writers, the analysts and stuff who are more behind the scenes, felt like they weren't getting recognized. And so for me, taking that, having, first of all, having the psychological safety to have that sort of a discussion said a lot about the team and the power of having that intimacy, but also for everybody to say, yes, we're going to chuck our egos here and we are going to really force recognizing the whole team. And so that was something we worked really, really hard at. So when we got, like, when I asked the CEO to send a thank you letter to the team, it wasn't recognizing one person. He had to, like, 12 that he had to send it to. But that was really important because there's so many behind the scenes people, particularly in marketing. But I think that's a lesson across the board. It's people want to have that recognition. They want to feel valued. They want to be seen. I mean, it works both ways. It's from the team perspective, but it also works for our customers. Obviously, our customers want to be seen. Our customers want to be valued. Our customers want alignment with their values and our values. But same with our team. You want to go to work and you feel like you've accomplished something and you want somebody to acknowledge it. So that's one of the things. I think, just speaking to what you said, all the awards go to individuals, but they really should, especially in marketing more than other areas, should go to the team.
The way I used to think about this too, Melissa, is when it comes to rewarding team members and showcasing their strength. If it's, let's say, it could be a LinkedIn post, it could be an award, it could be a company shout out, it could be a photo with everybody, holding some sort of like trophy. Those types of things for junior to mid-level marketers are what get them to become director and VPs one day. They're able to showcase that and utilize that as part of their journey. So the times when I've seen this really work for them is it's the leaders really building their individuals up, knowing that, hey, they might stay here for 15 years, or they might stay here for 3 years, get something out of this journey and move on to the next thing. And I had a manager I was working alongside one time, and the job we were hiring for, it was kind of one of those ones where it was not high pay. It was going to be one of the ones where you just expect it turns over. And he said to me, he's like, yeah, the pay is kind of low. We should be doing more. I can't get more approved. But you know what? If I can have someone come here for a year and I can give an impact on their career and they can make this place a better place, then it's a year well served. And I feel like if leaders and all of us think about that more as a macro and work together versus against each other, that's kind of where I see this book really coming into place, because leaders can find their purpose too, working with different employees, working with people with new perspectives. I think it can bring that back out of them, that creative side that maybe they once had, they're trying to find again.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that example kind of you're sharing. What a great leader that was focused on, okay, it's a success for everyone if people learn and grow and kind of blossom and go off to new heights, because that's just, it's like your kids almost, but those are little bits of your success out there in the world. And I have so many folks who used to work for me or work on my teams in the past that I have seen just blossom and go on to new adventures. And I still keep in touch with many of them, and I love to see them shine. And that's part of my success, I think. So that example with that you just gave, I think is just perfect, and it's something that leaders should know, because so many leaders, not great leaders, are threatened by the success of their people when they really should see that as part of their success. So thank you, Andy, for giving such a powerful example. I see that all the time with, I can just, several people, mostly women for some reason, come to mind as you were telling that story. I think, oh, about this person, and this person who really just grew and blossomed while they were working for me and then left. And that's a wonderful thing for them and for me to know that I had a part in their journey. So I agree with you 100 trillion% on that.
See, to me, that's what defines
Yeah.
a boss to a manager or a leader. And that's why I think harnessing purpose is great coaching for leaders as well. Because the example that you gave, a manager or leader trying to frame everything around the team and that's something that they could do tomorrow. So like taking an individual award and advocating for their team and saying, actually, these are all the people that need to be included on this recognition is a very powerful small step, and it's something that is actionable. And I love that you brought that up, and I want to see more of it from these leaders out there.
And Jess, I hope people hear you, like the people who do all the awards out there. I hope they hear you that there really should be more team awards. So you might be able to create a movement. Sometimes I know I'm a big fan just in general of getting marketing awards, because so often marketing is very subjective. And so I think it's just another way to have a third party say that your team is doing great work. So I'm a big fan of that, because it shows the rest, shows the CFO, it shows the CEO, shows everybody else that you're doing award-winning work. So I'm a big fan of that. So a lot of those come to the company, which are nice, but otherwise most of the recognition, it goes to whoever's the most visible person on the team, and oftentimes that's the leader. And then you've got a really amazing, analyst or copywriter or designer or what have you, who really was the brains of it, and they're getting, their success isn't being highlighted. And so I'm with you on that. I think if we can make some change there, that would be a wild success.
So let's take this to a quote you say very, very early on in the book. Quote, the lesson I've learned time and time again is that the purpose is the secret that transforms organizations into great ones. So I homed in on this one. There's several of them that I underlined to go back to. This is one that I liked a lot because I feel like it set up a lot of the lessons that you speak to, Melissa, and you focus on here saying it's the secret for the organization. Now, we live in 2025. It's the year of efficiency, AI, like maximizing profits, like all the things. We've heard it all already. But what I don't hear a lot when it comes to almost, I would say, employer brand, if you will, is defining purpose behind their employees, defining purpose behind a brand. I'm hearing so much about technology right now, to the point it's like almost like white noise that I can't decipher like what is what. I'm trying to figure out what is the purpose. And I think that you've had such a unique look into this with healthcare marketing, because it really has to be about the purpose for the patients, for the people that will come in, that will discover and get that checkup that they may have not gotten because of your marketing. So I think about this, and you're talking about organizations trying to accomplish purpose. How do you do this now at the organizational level? I know this is a large, loaded question. There's probably not one exact answer, but I'm curious if you start to think about this as you write through, because this takes you all the way up to the CEO, CFO, CMO levels, that everybody's got to be in lockstep if they're trying to define a purpose for how their brand operates.
Yeah, and I don't think it's just healthcare. I think this actually fits for everybody. We know there's a ton of data that shows engaged employees give more of their discretionary effort. So in light of the whole hybrid, virtual work, AI, all this sort of thing, you want and need engaged employees who are giving more and doing more. And how do you get engaged employees? Well, you need to make sure that they understand how their work ties to the company's goals and the company's mission. And so there's data that goes back to the engaged employees and how do you get engaged employees. So if you can tie them, so I know every day what I'm doing, how it ties to the company's goals, then I'm doing the right work. And if I know how my work ties to the company's mission, whatever that mission is, then I can actually feel that I am helping achieve that mission. So it's really not that hard, but I think the data shows that this is really important. I think back to working at some big Fortune 100s, and we spent so much time on our company goals. Well, if I, as an individual, especially somebody in marketing who really does impact revenue, if I can really understand not only how I'm tied to the goals, but how I and my daily day work is tied to the mission is really important. Yeah, it's really easy in healthcare. I think about leading healthcare teams and being able to say, okay, let's do a mission moment. Let's bring in a story about a patient that we helped. Yeah, that's amazing. That's really easy. But even in, like I mentioned, I worked at Honeywell that makes thermostats and heating different tools and devices for heating. Well, you can really tie it back to your mission because in the Northeast of the United States, everybody's got a boiler, and if their boiler breaks, well, you certainly want to be there to help them with their Honeywell parts. I mean, you can really think about what's your end game there, what's your mission there. But the table stakes are being aligned to the goals so that your day-to-day work is tied to the goals, and that seems very, very basic for every company, I think.
I'm really curious, from what you've learned now being a published author, did you ever, one, have some writer's block? And two, if you did, are there learnings that, or a new POV that you pulled from that could be applied to the marketing world when marketers are trying to find their purpose and going through the journey of alignment it may not be as easy, or you're hitting some roadblocks and you realize you're not fully aligned.
So I didn't really necessarily had writer's block because I started with like an outline of my chapters, so I kind of knew what I wanted to say in most of those. But sometimes when I was really sort of struggling with a piece or an example or a why, I'm a big fan just in general when you talk about doing creative work in particular is leveraging your network. So all the time, I talk about this, but I live it, I do it all the time. I have this great network that I lean into. I ask questions, I ask for examples, I listen to people, and I leverage the heck out of my network that I have really nurtured over all these years. So I've got a lot of people I can go to when I can say, do you have an example for this? What do you think about this? So that's what I do is I really love to lean into my network. And then with them, I have to be the listener, not the talker. And so that's the other thing that I think is just a good lesson for all of marketers, but it's a good lesson for all of us in general. Particularly those of us on the revenue generating side of the business world, we need to listen to our customers and we need to listen to our partners and our peers. So that works for me. But really leaning into my network, I think in my book, a lot of people that I know really well will see themselves and their examples in the book.
Yeah, and I see both the good and the bad in that, Melissa, because, I am someone, I want to hear perspective in every conversation I have. So whether it's an internal consulting, agency life, in-house marketing rooms, when I've met with my leaders and they've wanted to spend 30 minutes, an hour with me, I'm really in tune to what they're saying. So let's say that we'll go to parts of my life where I haven't had a good leader and they haven't given me more perspective. They haven't wanted to meet with me. And it's like very obvious when you get in that situation that it's like a slow dagger that just keeps going in because you're someone that's creative. You want to learn. You want that perspective. And I think that there's a lot of employees when they start in creative and marketing, they come all ears, and then once they get later, it's kind of like we're setting that financial motion, that make money, that convert motion. So it's like, I think that the leaders that can still, again, get back to some sort of purpose, or if they're not sure where they're at right now, like I've been at this place for 15 years, I'm kind of stale, like I'm doing the things, it's a job, at least for the sake of your employees that aren't in that motion yet, listen to them, let them listen to you, give some guidance. So for me, the one thing that I've struggled a lot with in marketing and I continuously try to find is I want people to care about it as much as me, and not care about making money. I'm talking about care about the creativity, the art, the passion that marketers have. And it's something we can't force upon anyone. So I think that's when you really get to, there's the ideal situations, but there's also the non-ideal situations. And as a marketer, knowing how to operate through those becomes so important. So that's been something I just keep thinking about as I analyze the book more and more.
I just wrote down it was like a slow dagger that kept going in. First of all, I'm going to repeat that because that's such a visual. But and thank you for that because
I'm a horror movie fanatic, so
clearly, but I
from.
got that but I also understand that's the situation. It's like the slow death, and that's what people who want to be creative. And that's the beauty of marketing. It's kind of right brain, left brain work these days because you've got all the data, but you've got the creativity and the marriage of that. And what you said resonates so much with me because so often people are dismissive of marketing. They don't understand the value, or they think anybody can do it because, oh, we're just picking a color or an image or writing a line, and oh, ChatGPT can do all that for us. Well, can it? Can it? And when you tie it to the results side of marketing, I feel like it makes it into something that people can't ignore. Because of the fact that I think in more modern marketing, we can say, yes, we're doing this and we're doing it for a reason. But I feel the pain that a lot of marketers go through because they're not really valued or listened to for their talent and their skills and all of the reasons that people get into marketing. And that's where for us showing the results is really important, but to understand what we're doing is important and valued. I need to, if I go to work every day and they just dismiss all my work, I am not going to feel good about myself, my job, my company. And it's just going to slowly, it's like a slow dagger, but it's going to erode my confidence and erode my joy, erode my passion for the mission. And so that's where surrounding yourself with good people who are also purpose-minded and understand and value the work that you're doing, I just think is so important. Because who wants to go to work every day and feel like there's a slow dagger? So.
Maybe Andy, when he's thinking about horror and true crime. But I think this is a really important point as well. Just like how you use your network to get over those blocks or to keep you moving forward, a marketer could go, if they're feeling this way, could go to their customer and have those conversations and look at the customer as their network. And I think that gives you the agency and the confidence. And again, just resets that this is about them. This is not about you. I mean, to an extent, it's mostly about the customer. And I really think that that's a very powerful thing that you have control of.
Yeah, Jess, I love that. I feel like that should be on a poster. It's really listen to your customer. I feel like that's the most basic thing. And it shouldn't just be for marketers. It should be for leaders. It should be for everyone across the company. I actually just wrote an article, or it's becoming an article, about that because so many people think, oh, well, marketing or sales needs to talk to the customer. Nobody else does. And there's so much inspiration in talking to your customers. And people forget that even in a B2B world, it's still a human being that we are marketing to. Even though it's a business that ultimately you're trying to get, buy something, you're selling to people. So it's the same sort of thing in a B2B world or a B2C world, doesn't matter. You can still listen to your customers. And there's so much learning there and so much inspiration, I think, because then you understand, well, oh, wow, I might be selling software on a B2B situation, but I can see how it's helping them in their business and helping them achieve their goals and helping this other person to shine.
final question, Melissa, because we could go on for
Yeah, we
3 hours
could.
if we wanted to here today. So this one's big because I do feel like I talk to a lot of people and I'm like, that's going to be someone who's going to write a book one day. And I'm like, I'm waiting for it. Oh, when's it coming out? And I'll ask them. But if there is someone listening today that might have the idea that they could become an author and do the things, what is one piece of advice just to get started in that pathway? What did you find when writing this?
So I will just say I'm not the world's greatest writer. I've never thought I was the world's greatest writer, but I've started in probably the last, I don't know, 6 or 7 years, just writing blogs and submitting them to some of the associations I'm part of. And so I just thought, oh, I'm just going to start doing that. And I started to build my confidence a little bit and kind of get a style, if you will. Like I'm an outline person. I'm a jotter. I like to jot and then turn the outline into like sentences and things. But I started really small, writing those blogs, submitting them to associations I'm part of. And then those blogs turned into articles that I like to publish. And then I started being confident enough to throw it on LinkedIn. And so for me, it was just kind of starting small and getting bigger. So I I think I talked to, really, since I've done this book, I've talked to so many people who say they want to do it. Or I even talked to one guy who had a completed book and he never did anything with it. And I was like, just do it. Listen, like part of that is just the just do it. But what I had is I had a couple people in my life who had done books before. And I picked their brain as much as I could and understood for me the end game, what I wanted to get out of it. And so that was really helpful for me. Again, leaning into my network, listening to them and their success, which was really important. But for me, the starting small and building my confidence that way. And then also saying, okay, like I was just, even in prepping for today, I was looking just for, through a couple of the chapters and I thought, oh, whoops, forgot to delete the semicolon there. It's okay. I had to be okay with that. Is just for me, it was getting it out into the world and saying, okay, yeah, I missed that, and I had somebody help edit it, but so we missed that in editing. But it's okay. It's okay. It was for me. It was really important to set the goal, accomplish the goal, and get it out there. But for anybody else, I just say start small and build your confidence. And I tell you, LinkedIn gives you such an opportunity to start to very slowly put your writing out in the universe. And LinkedIn, there's other social platforms, but it gives you an opportunity very easily to put your stuff out there.
A great endorsement, Jess, to round us out here. So, once again, Harnessing Purpose, a Marketer's Guide to Inspiring Connection. If you're looking at the video feed, we have it up here. Melissa Fors Shackelford. Be sure to give her a follow on LinkedIn and see some of those blogs along with giving her book a read. But Melissa, this was highly impactful today. I know that both junior, senior, VP, CMO level marketers, there's something they can take away from these conversations and very empowering to us as we continue our journey. So a huge thank you for joining the show once again.
Thank you both for having me. And again, congratulations on the 100th episode. I'm thrilled for you and I'm so proud to be part of it.
Thanks, Melissa.
Thank you, Melissa.
Thanks, guys.
Bye. So, Jess, what a wonderful 100th episode. I feel like Melissa's got the ability to be able to talk to so many different levels of marketers, and that is a true talent. So this is something I've started to learn a little bit, because there's marketers that been in the game for 40 years. There's marketers that been in the game for 4 months. And it's like they can't speak to each other sometimes. They're just like in such different worlds. It's hard for them to like find any balance of similarity. But I do think when you start talking about purpose, like what is your purpose in a marketing room? What is your purpose as a professional? That relates to everybody. And I think she has a very powerful way of getting through as an executive leader in a way that only she can, but is relatable to all the audiences.
Yes. Melissa is the level set that we all need. I always need it. And again, just hearing her today, it just made me happy to be in marketing. And I think that's so important because again, you can get bogged down by feeling like you're selling your soul or you're doing something that isn't aligned with your values. And then you hear Melissa, and then you just understand that you can level set, you can find that guiding purpose and reset. And now with her book, it's like we have Melissa in our back pocket that we can
Yes.
always reference.
we
And
we need a pep talk right now, Melissa.
yes, yes. So let me just sort of pull it out again and realize that yes, we are on that path. We can get there. It's about the experiences that we are creating, how we are helping others, no matter what we do. And again, we can have impact on others regardless of the discipline. You don't just have to be in healthcare or a nonprofit. You can do this for B2B. It is possible. And I think it's just absolutely wonderful.
One thing that she points out, I feel like is a really good POV of this show. So, for instance, we do a lot of these episodes, and a lot of these episodes, sometimes rightfully so, it hits on the managers or leaders in marketing not understanding this or not having a purpose for that. But what she hits on is that we as marketers, and I'm guilty of this throughout my career at different times, of not seeing the purpose that we have because we're so drowned by the politics, or it could be negativity, or it could be different things, or I didn't get an award, or whatever that is. But we're not looking at what the customers are actually saying. Her example about, Honeywell and partnerships she had, about people talking about, oh, I was, this B2B company, and because I had this technology, Y happened. And going out there and seeing what those customers say and how the mission of these companies did change their life, I feel like marketers sometimes they distance themselves so far away from that because of what's around them that they really need to put it on themselves to go out and seek what the customers are saying. Like literally www.google.com, put in a company name and read the reviews. Maybe there's just something there to that, and we could all be a little bit better about that.
Totally. And if you're a manager or a leader, you can view your employees as your customers. So you, again, going to them and trying to help them succeed and grow and learn and get to the places where they need to get, that's finding purpose, and that's finding purpose within the organization. And so it's that you can do it on all levels.
Yeah. And I think too, from the leadership standpoint, I feel like so much of what success is determined in these, super rigid metrics. And Melissa goes into this within harnessing purpose. But I think that what she can look at as a leader too is, what did my employees do afterwards? Did they stay here? Did they get a raise? Did they get a new position? Did they go somewhere else and fulfill their overall dreams that we've been talking about for years because you've been able to implement those skills? Now, what ends up happening sometimes is you might do all those things as a leader at a company and you don't get a pay bump at the end of the year. But one of the things that I've learned, and this is kind of a sports similarity here, is I've played this quote a lot of times, is that you don't always win the championship every year. In fact, there's players that play for 23 years and win 0-1 championships, but are all 23 years a failure. And I feel like so much of that is how marketing and how leaders look at if they're successful or not, is if they're getting a raise, or if they're getting this bump, or if they're getting this title. And there's so many people that could utilize their help, and even non-leaders, just people that could utilize their skill set. They could be seen. You need to find some sort of value in that. Hopefully, you find some sort of value in that, because that's really, I think, what marketing was created under. It wasn't all this like paid world we do now. That's still, it doesn't feel like it, but it's still infancy stages. Like marketing was happening 70 years before we were running paid ads. So there's a lot of infancy stages we're still learning.
Totally. You make me think, going back to the sports reference of Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls. I mean, Michael Jordan didn't always start out as a winning winning basketball
It
player.
took him several years.
Yes, and then it was and again the coach on his coach on North Carolina giving him a chance. I think he almost didn't make the team. I mean, like
Yeah.
that those first few seasons were not stellar, and then going to the Bulls and the coach seeing the potential, and then again bringing this team together. It was a very specific team, and it all had to fit together, and it came together. And it's almost again, it's like they found their purpose,
Yeah.
and that's when they really broke through and reached the ultimate success level.
That's where, I think I like to look at a lot of different social media marketers tell their story. We got to get one day, this is another task for me along with theme parks, is we got to get someone on from Duolingo, because they tell their story a lot, that they built their social media team when they started trying some of these new, more unhinged, like let's go for it tactics. But there were no approvers outside of their social media team, that they, in every post and every asset, they trusted that they hired skilled marketers and they knew how to stay on brand, that they didn't need oversight from someone in a non-marketing role, to where they could just launch campaigns. And the speed at which they launched was way faster than everybody else in the community. And they often credit that because they had the ability or permission to be creative, they were able just to go. But they had to have the right team for that, and they all have to work together in a certain way. So I'd love to hear more and more about that, about how these teams kind of break through and try to do some unorthodox things that get across the finish line.
And Melissa brings this up in the book many times, and she mentioned it on the podcast. But again, it all goes back to like when you give your team that agency, you're aligned on the purpose. You're giving them the confidence, like showing them that trust gives them the confidence, and they are going to then outperform. They are going to produce. They are going to be invested and give their all.
Yep. If I was a leader, so if I was putting my leader hat on, maybe we should start doing this a little bit in our consulting. Like, just point blank, ask, are you confident right now? And if you don't get a good answer, why not? Like, it's not a taboo question. Like, do you feel confident in what we're doing right now? If the answer isn't yes, we need to figure out why. It's just like a detractor of a product. Like, it is such a taboo subject sometimes for marketing rooms when I say, hey, why do people not buy your product? And it's kind of like, oh, I don't know. It's like, well, you should know. You should always know why people are detracting you as a leader, detracting your product, detracting your company, because that's natural. It's natural for creative brains in the room to use critical thinking and question things. There's nothing wrong with that. It does not mean they don't respect you. It just means like you have to keep working at that. It's a constant effort to stay confident. And I think all parties are responsible for trying to keep themselves there.
Yes. More curiosity. You're right. It's starting at that place. That should absolutely be number one. If things are not going right, understand like why aren't they going right, and let's get out there and let's talk to the customer. Like that could mean that we don't have the best understanding of our customer, and with that's where we need to start.
Yep. Every product has detractors. There isn't one. There's even Buc-ee's, Jess. Like, how can you dislike Buc-ee's? But if you do go to www.google.com and read the reviews at Buc-ee's, you're going to see people that usually what their complaint is that it's too crowded and nuts there, and they can't get anywhere because it's so full. What I would say as a brand is like, we're open 24 hours. You should visit us like at 11 p.m. at night and like have fun with it or something. I don't know. But everybody has detractors. So I think it's good that we talk about that a lot on this podcast, but I think it's also good that we're not just piling on, because there's a lot of piling on. There's a lot of anger on LinkedIn these days, Jess. Like, I'm starting to see that a lot more in the marketing community, and I never want us to become that style of advice. I want us to be actionable.
Yes, get your agency back, get your confidence, find your purpose. And I like this idea about Buc-ee's, because you're actually making me think of last night. We mentioned this before the show, but it was actually a perfect again, another perfect example of having Melissa on the show. I was in the emergency room with my 2-year-old at midnight last night, and this just made me think when I had to drive her home. I was like, the last time that I was driving or out in a car at midnight when I had to go to the hospital in 2020 to deliver Miss Penny. And so I was just exploring downtown, driving home
You
at
see a
midnight.
lot of
I'm
things
like,
at that time.
yeah, yes. And I was like, wow, there's a lot more people out than I expected. So maybe you're onto something with Buc-ee's here. It's like a Buc-ee's after dark,
Bucky's
but you're,
after night. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it's like you're thinking about these experiences in different ways. And a great way to do that is when you put yourself into it and try to like capture and observe the different perspectives.
So there's a new trend happening in music with this. He sparked my mind about being out late at night. So if you heard just that Gen Z, they're not like millennials and as nuts as we are. They don't tend to like alcohol and club culture as much as millennials did. And it's like this huge, huge trend. Are you familiar with how it's starting to change a little bit?
Not how it's changing, but I absolutely agree with you because I see it with my two nephews. They're in their 20s and they don't go out. And I go, what do you like?
What do
They
you
don't
do?
they don't go to the bars. They don't. I'm
Yep.
like, what do you do? Because
We're
I
the,
mean, when
we're the
I
last generation that did these,
yeah, I was
scoundrel
out.
things. No,
Yeah.
so what's happening now with a lot of the EDM community is because it's not as big of a thing with Gen Z that they are actually doing EDM shows at coffee shops, and they're doing them like at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and the people are drinking espressos, and they like rent out the coffee shop, and the coffee shops are getting slammed. Huge business just with like these local DJs and like showcasing them. And it's becoming this TikTok trend where a lot of them are starting to do it. Not like your Starbucks, but like your mom and pop coffee shops. So it's fascinating, but I think they listen to the customer. They're like, hey, as an artist, this isn't as in as it used to be, at least with this Gen Z audience. So if this is my core audience, let's go to where they're at. They're going to the coffee shop. So I found that pretty fascinating.
We need to talk to Marcus about this because I
Yeah.
absolutely think Marcus is on this, and there's probably some more to it, or they've probably looked at it
Yes.
for yes.
Yes. I bet you he's in on it right now. It's like, how can we create an event for the community and get people in the door? Another one I saw that, so I've been on the TikTok trends lately. This is what I did when we had a week off, is SeaWorld. So SeaWorld, as we know, is a brand that's had a lot of PR hits, more than one. But SeaWorld in San Diego has been changing their show formats to where they're doing concert series on the water now. But it's not family friendly concert series. It's very much they had Yin Yang Twins, like Soldier Boy there. Like they had like there's like a series of hip hop concerts. I was like, okay, it's probably like a family version. It's like no, it's like straight up like club people like partying, like where the Shamu show's at. And then like people on TikTok are like, what happened to Shamu? Like where did he go? And so I'm always just fascinated with these brands make these strong pivots, and I'm not always a person that has to agree with the pivots, but I want to see what the conviction is behind it. That's always my rule. Are they convicted behind what they're doing as marketers? And if so, give it a try. Like marketers don't choose a lot of times what operations are. They just have to market what they're given.
So are the animals or mammals or oh man, boy. Okay, the whales. I'll say the whales, dolphins. What's at SeaWorld? Are they are they doing a performance
No,
with this music, or they're
they
just
put
the
them
concert
away.
is there?
But so you know how they have like that big like U type shaped like thing where you watch? So they put them away while the concert's happening, and they put a stage in the middle of the water.
Oh,
It's weird. Like, it's not something I've seen before. But the theory right now is because SeaWorld is built on this, and they've taken a lot of hits based on, the animals and the treatment and whatnot through the documentaries, that they're slowly starting to phase some of that out, but they're trying to not do it all at once. Like, instead of opening new animal shows, they've been opening extreme roller coasters left and right. Instead of announcing a new animal show, they're announcing a rap, concert series. So it's like, if you slowly start to do it in your marketing, it doesn't like shock people as much. You're like moving away from it. So that's kind of the way I view it from afar.
I, without hurting the animals, of course, always putting the animals at the top priority. I'm wondering though if there's a way in which they can start to incorporate them into the experience, because I think that could be
You do
more
like a dolphin
powerful.
flip, like when like the bass hits and everything.
Yes, I mean, yeah, I feel like that could be more powerful, unless there's like a nostalgia piece here, and if you're bringing the customer in, they're feeling nostalgia with these rappers or
Artists, yeah.
yeah, the music,
And they're
then
mostly
maybe
millennial artists.
yeah, and then maybe they think, oh well, I should come back here during the day, or like this
Yeah.
was cool. Let me see it during the day now, and like with a different perspective.
Yeah. I kind of thought about that too, because you can come in just with a regular ticket. So it's not even a concert ticket. They're just basically buy general admission and show up, and this person's going to be here performing.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. So maybe then you come a little earlier. You're feeling good. You got that nostalgia running. You're gonna see a band, a rapper that made you dance.
Yeah.
Like
And then I'm going to go
10
ride
to-
roller coasters.
yes. And then it's all good.
Yeah. I know that Universal. So have you done Universal on your trips? Or are you strictly Disney?
Have not done Universal. That's another foray with
For another
car
day.
rentals. Yeah,
Yep.
getting across,
Yeah, because
getting
that's a whole
across the
other
city.
area. Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
they're building a Fast and the Furious roller coaster right now, a family. So that's fascinating. But they actually will do EDM shows, but they do it as like after hours type thing. Like it's like 10 o'clock at night, so not Gen Z friendly. EDM style shows. I know they've been doing that. So I don't know if it's becoming a thing with theme parks. I know that they've done a lot of them have done concerts in the past. That's not new. But the way they're doing them, like more like right in the park, probably is a little new.
What I've heard from Universal recently, I'm thinking this is Universal. This epic
Yeah,
universe.
that's the Florida one. It has
Oh,
Super Nintendo World, so I'm super dialed in. So like what Disney or like Marvel characters are to a lot of people, that's what Nintendo was to me growing up. So I'm really into this if I can get out there.
yeah, and there's yeah, your next workshop when you go visit Orlando, Andy, you
Yep.
can give us a scoop.
I'm not allowed
The,
to go unless my wife comes though, because I've gone there for work a few times, and she says I'm suspended from going there unless she's with me.
oh, you can make that happen. Yeah, Kristen will be on the next trip. We'll just put it
Yes,
out there. As Melissa says, you got to just put those things
put
out
it
there.
out there.
But it's not just the Super Mario Brothers. Isn't there five
Yeah,
worlds? So there's the How to
there's
Train
a
Your
horror one.
Dragon.
Yeah,
Yes, and I just from what I'm hearing and seeing, it's like they are mastering the experience,
yeah.
and again, really like bringing people into this immersive place.
Well, they're doing new stuff too. So some of it's like movie characters, and some of it's just completely new. So they're like mixing the nostalgia, mixing the new. Kind of like how I think they followed the Disney model a little bit, because Disney actually, a lot of the movies like Pirates of the Caribbean, it was originally a ride. It wasn't originally a movie. So they're like they reverse engineered it. Now I think Disney goes more like it's a movie first, then it's a ride. So I kind of like the mixture though when they come up kind of from thin air and use their imagination for these rides. So we have no idea what we're getting ourselves into.
So speaking of pirates, I will just mention that because this is a great segue. That was our favorite family ride when we
Yep.
were at Disneyland. So it started and it was the girls' first time going on it, and they absolutely loved it. Tyler and I love it, so we were just thrilled that they loved it. So it was our most ridden ride. Then we had this incredible meet and greet with Captain Jack Sparrow's.
Oh,
The
that's cool.
girls
They did that too.
loved that. We learned that, what is it called? The fist bumps are called cannonballs by pirates.
Yeah.
So, we fell into the Disney experience. So it's like we met Jack Sparrows. We kept riding the ride. And then guess what we did? On the return to civilization, we re-downloaded Disney
Yep.
Plus because we did
I
not
got
have
you
that
and
app.
watched it. Yep.
Yes, and then we watched the first Pirates of the Caribbean. So we are locked in. This is exactly what Disney
Yeah,
wants
that's
us to
what they're
do,
going for.
and it was wonderful. I forgot how amazing that first movie is.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
It gets weird at a certain point, but the first one was really good.
Yeah, the first one was spot on, and Johnny Depp is incredible. And yes.
So you'd be happy to know that our theme park adventures over here do continue next weekend. So we'll be going to Canada's Wonderland, Toronto, which is opening a new roller coaster this Saturday. So we timed it perfectly. We were getting worried because this new coaster was supposed to open up in spring. Then it wasn't opening up in spring. Now it's opening up in summer. And then 2 weeks ago, it was like, holy crap, they haven't built the station yet. But there was these YouTubers that were on it. There is a guy there every single day documenting their progress, and they were trying to rush to get it done because they were so far behind. But it was basically the station and the theming that they were behind on. So they built it and got it up and running. So we're excited. Our trip's going to be a Toronto trip, but also a theme park voyage. It's called Alpenfury. It's going to be the most inversions 9 times of any coaster in North America, tied for that. It launches out of a mountain, like you go out of a volcano and then do a flip while fire shoots out after you go through. Like it looks awesome. And we are prepared with our fast passes already. So it's going to be a good trip.
Wow. Yes, I would hope they are not rushing on the build. So that is good to hear. 'Cause that just sounds terrifying already, but I can't wait to hear more about it. I mean, that's wild. 9 inversions.
Yes.
Oh boy.
And a
Andy,
launch
you've got a
ride on
strong
top of it.
stomach.
I know it. I can handle it. It's the spinning that sometimes can be a little iffy, but if it's just a straight shot, it's not spinning, I'm good. So, I'm the type that could eat lunch and just jump on a ride. It's impressive.
Yeah, this is the exact opposite of me. I do not do roller coasters, and again, just going on that Pirates, the few large
Dips.
dips, I was like,
Yeah.
okay, that's great. This is wonderful. I can handle this.
We're good.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the one thing that we're lucky we have in common in our marriage right now is that roller coasters have become a pivotal part. So
yes.
people are like, yeah. So that's funny because, like, you get into the early marriage, the kids' conversation, of course, comes up and whatnot. And we're like, we got a few years, we just want to enjoy ourselves. And, and my joke is we got a lot of roller coasters to ride. So
Yeah.
that's what we're doing for now.
I love it. I love it. Oh my goodness.
But no, so kind of close us out, 100th episode, Jess. Like, kind of just rounding us out on this. How do you feel? Like, is it still fresh? Do you feeling motivated? Feeling the purpose? Like, I feel like we've come a long way. In fact, on our 100th episode, this is our first time we've streamed live on YouTube today. So, look, we're continuing to try to iterate some new things as we go here.
And let's let the audience know what we're trying to, we have another goal too. I'm looking at the clock. We are trying to do for our 100th, 100 minutes. And I think we could do it. And Andy, I was actually thinking about it when it comes to the most famous, successful podcasts, the Joe Rogans, the Andrew Hubermans, the Armchair Experts. An hour 40 is nothing in their world. So I think we can do this. It comes back to, like, if the content is engaging, your audience will have time and they will dedicate the time to listening.
Well, how do you do it when let's say you're getting through a 3-hour workshop? So that sounds daunting. I've done only usually mine are 2 hours, hour and a half, but I've done a few 3 hours of them. And I'm like, oh, I was like, we gotta change this talk track a little bit. We gotta beef this up because it can never feel, if you're going long form content, especially podcasts too, it can never feel like you're just trying to hit time. It has to feel engaging, oomph, preparedness. So like what do you do for a 3 hour voyage that you're trying to accomplish?
I do a lot of exercises, just, standing up, sitting, standing, changing the environment, just breaking to talk about something completely random, or if we get off topic, getting up and saying, okay, let's get some Post-its on the board, whether it's in person or virtual. I'm observing something really impactful here that you're saying about the customer, or this is a surprise. Let's talk about it more. Let's go into a quick brainstorm. What is the how might we here? Like, what could we create to solve this problem that now we've uncovered?
Yeah. And the post-its I like. I think
Oh,
that is almost, it almost brings you back a little bit, because I think there's a lot of times you get into these conversations, they're like, we haven't been able to do this in a while, or this type of thought process. And I think I've told you the story before. I have this one famous story. I used to use Post-its all the time when I worked in agencies. I'd put them on my desk and I'd have them like lined up on the side, different things, this many posts, research this hashtag, like different things. And I actually was told from a leader once not to use Post-its, that there's technology for this kind of stuff. And I was kind of like, it made me feel like it made me feel like bad. I was like, but I kind of like writing stuff down because I retain it better. So but it's a thing sometimes. Like, I feel like we're trying to utilize technology as a substitute for just human thinking sometimes and learning. It's like, it can be an aid, but it doesn't have to substitute. It doesn't have to be one or the other. You can use a combination of what works for you.
wow. That is very, very sad. And especially as someone that loves Post-its more than life itself. They're fantastic. Because you know what's great about the Post-it too? It can keep your ideas condensed as well. So, we always talk about, as a marketer, you write something out and then you edit, edit, edit. You cut 50% and then keep cutting to make it more impactful and effective. And that's what's great about Post-its. When you can't write a
Yep.
paragraph on it, and then it forces you to get more concise and straight to the point.
And that's
So,
what I like when I'm writing or when I'm teaching writing, is how do you take this long form thought? How do you break it down into something usable? And then, like you said, that can kind of force it to come out. I also just think there's power of writing. Like, I think that what we talked about today with harnessing purpose, of course, with Melissa, and writing all of the thoughts out, there's not a lot of that. There's not a lot of time for that, I feel like. And I've tried to push my newsletter here and there a little bit more. I haven't been regular with it. It's more kind of like, okay, I've got a thought today, and it turns into a newsletter, and it usually comes together relatively quick because it's fresh on my brain. But there's a power of just like writing the things out. And that's something that I don't know if it's really taught anymore. I don't know if you ever go to like a marketing room and they tell you to go write things out, but it's a good idea. It doesn't hurt.
and yeah, if you don't want to use Post-its, you could do it on the whiteboard. You could do it on your journal. The other way that I like to change up the scene as well, or the environment, is I will say, instead of writing a word, draw something. Like, draw what this represents, this topic that we're talking about, this observation that we've uncovered. Draw what it means to you, or if any image came to your mind, draw it. Like, and even if it could be a happy face, a frown face, it could be anger, it could be faces, it could be just an image, a person, place, or thing. But I get that, just again, to change up like how you process things and like what's going on in your brain, and that's an absolute energizer. Or like going into improv. I mean, there's so many ways in which you can change things up, and again, it makes it feel like you're re-injecting that energy and that creativity, And just by getting someone to think about something differently is a win.
So let's talk about that too. So aside through the context now, you're talking about drawing, being creative, doing the things, but I'll go on to LinkedIn today and I'll see probably 48 different individuals talking about using like AI image generators and things like that. So how are you feeling? Because it's coming up in a lot of our discussions across all three seasons, and it's getting. I don't know if it's gotten more refined in three seasons. I feel like we're still talking about the same things in AI that we were talking about 3 years ago, which are still cool, but I don't know if people or consumers come to a company and they're like, I joined this company or I bought this product because I love AI. It's more they want to know what can it do for them to help them be a better person, to help them be more creative, to help them have better output. So I'm still seeing a lot of this jargon. I'm seeing a lot of pushback, both from marketers. I'm seeing a lot of pushback from consumers right now. So like when we talk about these things, about trying to find our creative sense and our purpose, is AI really allowing us to do that? I think it can, but I don't think the marketing's like taking us to that point. So I'm still seeing this gap a lot of times by like what's being said about these tools and then what we're saying on the podcast.
Yes, still lots of opportunity there. I mean, especially just what we heard from Avi with Can and the behind the scenes experience there. A lot of talking about AI, using it to drive those efficiencies, but again, there's still that gap between okay, well, and I feel like we're uncovering all the opportunity, and where I do feel the conversation has changed is now we've come to the realization. Before it was uncertain. It was like, oh, it's coming, like, but now we're at that place and realization where yes, it is now part of our daily lives, and we're just still trying to carve out like how this really impacts marketing, creativity, business. But I think there's absolutely ways in which it can be used to, again, get a better understanding of your customer. I mean, nothing replaces a one-on-one conversation or just, hitting the streets, talking to people. But this is it can serve as a powerful way to consolidate a lot of data and help get you to some of those observations and just help you understand, like, yes, are we on the right path? Are we following the right purpose?
So you're telling me you're not going to go on to Meta and chat with one of their AI chat bots that can like be your friend now and go down that whole pathway?
Oh, the her scenario is coming to life. No, I'm not going to do that. But I,
Did you
man,
talk to Smarter Child on AOL Instant Messenger when you were younger? Do you remember that?
no,
So there was a
no.
bot on AOL Instant Messenger called Smarter Child, and people used to like yell at it all the time and see like what it would do. But like that's the funny thing is like we got these AI bots, like people are talking about that. It's like freaking Smarter Child existed 25 years ago, and I was talking to it and like stress testing this thing. Like it's new in the way a lot of it's being presented, and it's a lot more further along, but it's not as new, I think, as people make it out to be sometimes. I think it became more of like the flavor a little bit. Now, what's new is stuff like Opus Clip. Like, we use that for our short forms clips. That's freaking amazing. Like, I'm all about that. But that's again, we're using like AI is this like blanket statement. Like, it applies to all these different things. Like, I want to know more about like what's the oomph, what's that nuance, what's that realness that yours has.
This really makes me think about what Melissa was saying earlier about how, in the end, it's people connecting with people, human connection, one on one. And that made me think about, oh my gosh, what if one day we get to the place where we are marketing to the bots or to the
Skynet.
AI, yes,
Yeah.
the AI robots. I'm like, what that could happen.
Someone should create a like parody page about this and call it like Skynet AI News or something like that, and like talk about all the innovations like you're the actual company in Terminator.
Well, there you go. That's a content idea right there. And that's,
Yep.
again, a great way to establish your brand,
Yep.
especially in this space. And when you think about creating content, that's absolutely a way to do that.
And that's where like I miss some of the fun like channels that could just have fun with it. So like I feel like so LinkedIn is professional slash fun. I think it stayed there. I think Instagram for the most part has stayed fun. I think TikTok's like going by the way of X some days, but it still can be fun if you curate your feed. But that's one thing I hate that's been taken away sometimes from social is I used to go on to when it was Twitter. It used to just be like fun. It used to be all these parody accounts and like there'd be like a Skynet account. There would be like a fake like Mario account, like, and it would like tweet as their like character and it'd be hilarious. Wendy's would be going off on somebody and it was real fun. And then like one day everything just got super serious. I was like, wow, this platform got dark like really fast. So like I kind of miss that looseness. I'm glad there's still some outlets for it, but you got to like really find it. So, but I do think it brings some creativity too. Like I see some of these burner accounts out there of people that are just like riffing and having fun with things. I'm like, they would be an excellent marketer if they took that voice and implemented it into a brand that doesn't take itself too seriously. They'd probably go viral with it.
Yeah, just like Nick Power and
Yep.
what he's done with LinkedIn. Again, what did he say when he was on the show? The blending of 90s pop culture, the nostalgia,
Yep.
politics, our current events, like what's happening in the world, and you blend that all together and you don't take yourself too seriously and you do everything you can to not sound like an AI bot. And
Talking lowercase the whole time.
yes, and you
Yep.
are on that path. And I mean, what else does he do that he pulled over from Instagram? The photos, which I didn't
Yep.
know about, because again, I'm just on LinkedIn, and well, but I do go on YouTube, as we know. We talk about how I look at videos on YouTube for inspiration into the B2B tech space. But yeah, the whole like taking the images, these selfies, and I guess it's very like pop culture, like very trendy. And I see him do this on LinkedIn, and it is very successful.
You should you should do a creative experiment. Like you don't have to stay on the platform, but maybe we'll plan it. Maybe in the coming seasons or months, we'll plan an episode. I want you to spend a week putting, let's say, 15 minutes into TikTok per day, and then come back with what you learned because you can super curate your feed to there's no other platform that if you do it right to where you curate your feed and it just becomes this immersive experience of like three subjects and then the inventory you get. I'll just be curious your thoughts for a non TikTok user, what you come away with afterwards.
Yeah, so I'll do it with our handle.
Yeah.
Making of a marketer. So you're telling me it's going to be so good at serving me content that I'm going to be like just scrolling
Yes, but
through
you have
for
to get there.
hours.
So it's gonna the first day you do it, you're going to be like, why did they show me this? All right, uh, and but you're gonna find between that very interesting, great marketing news, Disney park. Like it'll start to find the things you're interested in, and then the next day it's a little bit better. The next day it's a little bit better. And it's like it keeps learning, but it learns just based off what you watch because theirs is different. Where other platforms they depend on engagement, likes, clicks, shares, comments. TikTok relies on views, so they're articulating what you like based on how long you're viewing different things. And if you curate it properly, it learns really fast. And then before you know it, you just spent 15 minutes watching Disney influencers talk about like Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, and you're like, what happened?
Okay, well, I do love that aspect and like that understanding of consumer behavior and how we are scrolling and like consuming content, because it is more than just you could like something and you could be highly engaged in a video and not like, not
Yeah,
follow the
not click.
channel,
Yeah.
yeah, not click, not like the content. But again, you start to get more engaged, and then you end up coming back to it, and then then you're hooked, and then it's like this slow building of the story.
I think that some of these, it's not new age because they've been around a bit, but I think they're new age in the way that they're positioned with some of the the big players are TikTok and Reddit. Those are the two that I feel like have really found ways to curate their feeds. So you come in quick, and if you're only there for 5 to 10 minutes, you really get something out of it. I think it's something that the other platforms have started to gravitate more and more towards. I mean, of course, with LinkedIn, with our videos and the scrollable videos as you go up and down real fast, it's very much TikTok, but without people dancing. It's more of what the LinkedIn world is. But, that's something I've learned too as I've done more and more TikTok watching, scroll through, curating. It's not as much dancing as it used to be. It's actually become a very powerful information channel. But again, it has to be curated right to ensure you're not getting nonsense thrown at you.
Okay, speaking of dancing, there is dancing on LinkedIn. One of my favorite creative inspirations, favorite brands, I actually do follow them now because the content was so good, is ClickUp. And they
Heard of
dance.
them. Yep.
They dance. The leaders are dancing because they're doing parodies of like when HR goes too hard in a meeting, and they're doing karaoke and they're dancing, and it's so funny. It's unexpected because you don't expect to see leaders of an organization dancing on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
but they're doing it, and it
They're
resonates
owning
because
it.
yeah, and they make fun. They make fun of themselves, and I think that's so important too. Like going back to that fun and not taking the brand, not taking themselves so seriously, and really connecting with the current audience and customer reality and what is happening right now in our wild world.
And do you think at this point any brand should take themselves too seriously? Like, because I hear it all the time, hey, I work with manufacturing, you work with tech, and they're like, hey, we're not this type of brand. We don't have fun. I was like, but that sounds like a lonely life. Like, don't you want to have fun? Like that relates to every human you market to. And then again, like the threshold of fun that you incorporate can be different. You don't have to go like completely unhinged to be a little bit fun. But like, is that a bold statement to say that like should there be any brand that just says we can't have fun at all?
I this is where I would go and speak with the customers and actually understand, like, do they need some levity? Do they need a little retreat? Do they need to take a little break from all of the things that are happening in their world? And so I would start there and see if, like, oh, is this really what our customer wants?
Hmm.
And then, like you said, you don't have to then go Charlie's Angels full throttle on
Yeah.
it. You can start to go slow and start with a Friday fun post. Like,
Hmm.
do something one day per week. You could do it organically as you're building out your calendar, but just again, showing the different side of the brand, showing that the brand does have fun is very powerful. It's just, behind the scenes in the culture, and it makes the brand better connect with the customer's purpose
Yep.
as well, and just shows that there is a different side, and then in essence shows that, yeah, we understand our customer, and we understand that they want to see all sides. They don't want to see that highly produced
Hmm.
marketing brochure 24/7, because right now that's being associated with overproduced, is being associated with not real, not authentic. They're trying to sell us on something.
And you can think about like the large brands. You think about Like Apple is one that will come up in like every marketing room, course and whatnot. We've come a long way from the commercial of the lady throwing the mallet through the screen that everybody studied in the 80s or 90s, whatever it was, to, Macs being more fun, an iPod, an iPad, iPhone, reinvigorating their entire brand. But I don't feel like you look at them and you're like, hey, their brand ever really changed. It just, they kind of loosen things up, but it still stayed true to their brand. And that's, to me, that's the power of a marketer in a creative room, and why you have to be very careful as a large brand not to take that away from them, because let them figure out through their studies, through their experiences, through them being able to listen to customers, how far they are not, they can turn that dial. But I think every brand can turn it a little bit, because if you're too stiff and you're in a boardroom, I just don't think the especially younger generations resonate towards that. They see overproduce and are turned off by it immediately.
And Melissa mentions this in her book, that Apple is one of the greatest examples of a brand that really truly harnesses purpose, and they align with their customer, and they do it effectively, and it's so powerful. And the most important thing is once they've identified their purpose, it is across every channel, and everything that they do from a marketing standpoint. So whether you're looking from the employee perspective, the investor perspective, the B2B perspective, that purpose comes out loud and clear, and it comes out across everything.
Yeah. And it's always about what you're doing in your life. Like how the iPhone applies to your life. And even during the Super Bowl, they utilized some of, the AI advancements and whatnot, but they were really good in their ads of relating that to innovation and how you have these personable moments with your family and how this works in that format. And I don't feel like they even talk about the product that much. Like they let the product, because they're confident the product speaks for itself, but that's not the purpose or the mission. Like the product aids the purpose and the mission. The product isn't the mission, and that's where, I don't know, it's different for every marketing room and how they view that. But I think you have to figure out kind of where you align in that, and that'll gives you the opportunity to loosen up and talk about what the mission could potentially be.
Yes, I absolutely love that.
If the
I think
product
Liquid
is,
Death too. Same way, now thinking about a brand that goes like super bold, but it, again, has a very clear purpose. And now everything they do, every partnership they form, it aligns to that purpose. And so I love to use that example as well, because it's like you can be simple, you can align on simplicity like Apple, and still find that purpose and make it really effective. And then also too, you can go as bold as you can be, and align on a purpose, like from the bold perspective, going opposite end of the spectrum, and it's still highly effective.
you can make water cool. Like that's the thing with the liquid death thing I
That's
go to all the time. Is so many people when it comes to the marketing room are locked in on the product, and I feel like I have an unfair maybe advantage here, sometimes disadvantage in other places, but working in a marketing agency, you can't focus on the product all the time. Like you hope it's good, you need to ensure it has product fit. But me as a marketer, I'm not the one at the table making the decision if it has product fit. I'm given an assignment to go market this thing. And it shows to me with some of the different things that do become popular, if you can make carbonated water cool, it shows me that if you're good at marketing and good at creating an experience and talking with the right consumers and knowing your audience and all the things, you can make these products work. Now, they have to still be good. They can't be really bad, but they don't have to be things that revolutionize the world either. I think that we get stuck on that a lot. So instead, think about what is different for your customers, what they want, what they need, and then just this got us right to the 100-minute marker right there. So we were right at it. We did it.
I love it. Let's keep going. 100 more. I can't believe we got to this place. I'm so proud and I'm so happy to be doing this with you.
Definitely. 100 more to come, more seasons to come, new tech to come. A YouTube audience, if you're out there, please let us know what you think. If you like this, what you would like to implement, come be a guest on the show, all the things. But it's 100 down, 100 more to go, and hundreds after that potentially. So excited to continue on this journey with you, Jess.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. We'll talk soon.